So the last time I made a video about breaking into venture capital, it was very oriented towards students, and this is A, more general advice, and B, just FAQs that I've gotten since. Okay, so the most common question is, of course, how do I break into VC? That is the real problem. So I've now updated the My Strategy part of the last video into 3 things that I think are the best things that you could possibly do if you want to break into, especially early stage venture capital. The first thing, which follows this saying of essentially, if you want to prove that you can do the job, you should do the job. And the closest thing to that in the world of early stage venture is angel investing. If you angel invest your own money, no matter how small that amount is, that is the best way to prove to yourself and others that you have good taste, that you can source, etc., because you are effectively doing the entire job of an early stage VC. Now, let's say you can't angel invest. This might be because you don't have the money. This might also be because you're in a job that restricts you from doing that. What can you do? The second best thing you can do is to offer free value-add services of literally anything, any skill that you have to early stage startups as a way to, again, network, to source and expand essentially your involvement in the early stage startup scene that you want to be part of. So an example of literally any skill that you might have that is useful. You might have a marketing background. You might understand product and be a PM right now. You might be an investment banker and therefore know how to financial model. You might be an influencer and know how to make TikToks. The point being that any skill that you possibly have, you can offer it for free to startups that you want to be involved in, who are cash constrained, etc. And then you can get a great review from them. You can also use this experience as a way to be more involved with the startup ecosystem generally, which is how people hear about venture capital jobs. And then my last suggestion, which is the same as the one I said before, is that the third best thing you can do is get to be the 80th percentile good of literally any niche topic within startups and build a brand around that, and then you'll get inbound either from startups or even from VC. So for example, you might become an expert at Boston-based robotics startups, or you could be the go-to person for Indian startups in America, or you can find all sorts of weird niches, like some founders that have a Canadian on the team. Like, just pick a topic or a demographic and really own it in the sense of become an expert in it and become very involved in it, and then people will find you that way as well. You can do all of these 3 things, which I think are the best ways to break into venture capital, or you can do any one of them that works for you. Another question that I get very commonly along with how do I break into venture capital is, how do I start sourcing? Like, what does that even mean? So the best source of deal flow is from a really quality network, which means that you have to go meet quality people. And by quality, I mean specifically in terms of startups, like people who are really good founders or people who are really good experts in their industry. So if I was starting out, I would think to myself, what are some groups that I am naturally a part of that I can leverage that demographic to try and get this network of sourcing going? So for example, I might be part of a Google alumni group. I might be part of techies in New York. I might be part of some female founders group and really contribute to that ecosystem, contribute to that community as a way to build your network, and that is the best way to start sourcing. So the second thing that you can do is host some dinners and events. You can actually do this really cheaply. You can say, hey, I'm gonna host a picnic for people who are really interested in talking about this new AI paper. Why are dinners and events so good? Because 1, you become top of mind. So let's say someone else is starting an AI company then. They say, oh, well, I was at a picnic with someone who was hosting this picnic about this AI paper. You should go talk to that person. And then my suggestion for how you do those events is, after you do a dinner event, make sure you get the actual contact, like direct contact, meaning text or Telegram or Messenger, etc., of the people that you thought were most interesting. And after you do big group dinners, you should go find the few people that you like the most, contact them individually, and do an intro chat or hang out with them one-on-one. The third method I think that you can use to build up a sourcing engine, even when you don't work in venture capital, is write content as a way to get inbound interest. So, for example, let's say you start a Twitter account and specifically you do analytics for marketing funnels or whatever. Eventually, it might take a while, but eventually startups will start coming to you, or people involved in the startup ecosystem will start coming to you for advice because you're seen as an expert in this space. This is also a way to start sourcing, which is ultimately a way to break into venture capital. Okay, another question that I get asked is, what should I read? Or like, what's the tech newsletters that I should be a part of? So generally, my advice here is to read none of them because how do I explain it? The news about tech as an industry is very gossipy. Knowing the tech gossip and the tech zeitgeist is actually not helpful. It just makes you part of a crowd, and that information is very derivative. You are much better off just going to the original thought and learning to think for yourself and coming up with your own opinions. So I can give examples of like books I have read in venture capital or in startups that I thought were interesting. Like there's lots of really good ones, but I think the more relevant piece of advice here is to literally read anything canonical in any subject. Like if you really like literature, go read some canonical literature books. Or if you like history, or if you like war, or if you like peace, if you like the climate, whatever, go read those original sources, do your original thinking, and then ask really good questions. You will probably come up with more interesting investment theses, more interesting thoughts than those who just read derivative tech culture blogs. So the last question I got asked as part of this FAQ is, does the location of where you're at matter? And to me, the answer is yes, if you can help it. I would be located in a startup hub. And that's because you'll find in life, it actually matters a lot less what you do, and it matters a lot more who you do it with. So the reason why San Francisco, for example, is so amazing is because, for better or for worse, almost everyone you meet on the street, you probably share some interests, and those interests are probably oriented around technology. That is both awesome and horrible in some ways, but there is no better city in the world for increasing the chances that by random luck you meet someone who's doing something super, super fascinating in startups or technology. Now, I would say there's lots of different hubs for different types of industries. So for example, SF is by far the biggest tech hub. New York is also a big tech hub, although you have to be more in it because New York also has a lot of other industries. If you want to do like pure consumer social, Santa Monica has a really big hub. If you're in Europe, London and Paris have really big like AI hubs and like fintech hubs, etc. So there are places around the world like with different options. But yeah, I actually think if you're really, really serious about this, being in a city where there's a lot of startup stuff happening is actually very, very important for your career. Hopefully this updated FAQ video was helpful. I know that breaking into venture capital is really hard, and I just want to emphasize that it's actually much less important to like get this title, whatever this title means to you, of like being a VC, and it's much more important to develop the qualities, which is around like first principle thinking and having an opinion and taking calculated risks and stuff like that. And you can develop that in a whole variety of ways. Also, if you want to ask me any other questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. Okay, see you.